Back out live to Kennedy Space Center this morning.
That's right. That's where John and Amy are live at the Visitors Complex. What's up, guys?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, you know what? You're about to see a very cool inside look at the Space Shuttle Atlantis. Did you know 7 people would live in this spot right here, which is the size of a big bathroom?
Right, a lot of people.
7 people.
Isn't it crazy? A lot of people think they had the entire shuttle, like including the payload. No.
We're about to learn a lot about Atlantis from one of the guys who knows Atlantis more than anybody else. That's coming up today.
2, 1, 0, and liftoff. The final liftoff of Atlantis on the shoulders of the space shuttle. America will continue the dream.
The space shuttle spreads its wings one final time for the start of a sentimental journey into history.
Some of the great lines of history, a sentimental journey into history. Pretty cool stuff. Welcome back to Kennedy Space Center Visitors Complex, where, you know what, we're privileged to have a guest with us who's going to explain everything you need to know about Atlantis.
Yeah, and no one is more knowledgeable than John Coward. He is a NASA program manager, and he's also one of the very first people to work on this ship many years ago. Great to see you, John. Thanks for being with us this morning.
John, thanks, man. Appreciate you being out here early.
My pleasure. Trust me, this is a lot of fun to work on.
She's your baby.
She was my first orbiter, and I worked on her for almost all of her launches. I missed the first couple. I hadn't come quite to NASA yet, but after that, in total, I worked 65 shuttle launches. But this was my favorite because it was my first.
Now, when people come out here to see this, it's at an angle here. It's right in the middle. Why is it positioned like this?
Well, this is how you would have seen it on orbit if you've been able to get outside and look around. When it's on orbit, the payload bay doors are open. It's probably at some kind of an angle because the robot arm is deployed. You got to go grapple something. The other thing would be it might be upside down. That might be the only difference, but it's a lot more fun to see it displayed right side up.
Let's walk this way as you give us a little tour of this thing, because you worked on all the systems on this.
I did.
Towards the back, you know, I always looked at this thing as a big Winnebago. I thought that if you're in the front of the ship, you could just walk through the middle part, get back here and fix something. But you said once you're up there, this is off limits.
Oh yeah, definitely. Once you got out of the crew module, you had to be in a spacesuit. But back here in the engine compartment, you could not get into there. If there was some reason you needed to get in there, there was no way to do it.
Wow.
Of course, the back end there, that's the business end with the 3 main engines. Those were incredible pieces of technology, still are. If you were to hook them up and pump water instead of hydrogen and oxygen, you could drain an average size swimming pool in about 25 seconds.
Holy cow.
So they were amazing, and they still are. And then you come forward here into the payload bay area. This is where all the great cargoes that we flew. We sent Galileo to Jupiter, Magellan to Venus, the Compton Gamma Ray Telescope, tethered satellite.
John, here's where I think we were wrong.
Yeah.
I assumed this was living quarters.
Right.
Like, you know, like the Winnebago.
No.
Like you had the kitchen. You've got, there's nothing in this.
They couldn't spread out.
No, you were stuck up here in the very, very front. This is where you put the stuff that was out exposed to the vacuum of space, which you didn't want to be unless you're in a spacesuit. So you stayed up here in the crew module. And then, of course, you get the payload bay doors open, you would deploy it. And then there's the airlock right here. The airlock is where they would go in and go into the International Space Station. We also did 7 missions with this vehicle. It's the only one that went to the Mir space station.
Right.
Back when the Russians had that. So we would use the airlock for doing that as well.
So, John, describe to us what life was like in the cockpit here.
Well, generally speaking, you were in there with 6 of your closest friends for a week or 2.
Wow.
Because it was very, very cramped. You would have probably the equivalent of a large family bathroom in a modern house.
So this entire living area here is a big family bathroom, and you said 7 people at a time live in this little bitty space.
That's right.
This was where they lived.
This is exactly where they did all their work. They would look out the windows. You can see the commander would be sitting here looking out this window. Pilot would be sitting next to him. You would put 4 people up on the upper deck. So there's 2 decks. It's 2 floors inside there. The upper deck is the flight deck. Downstairs is the mid deck, and that's the hatch that you'd see them getting in and out of on launch day, right there. And then, of course, the only other way out, in an emergency, if it had ever happened, you could blow the windows on top, and you could come out that way if for some reason we had crash landed. And then the other way, when you were in space, you went out the airlock right there in the very, very back.
It's fascinating.
It is amazing.
I talk to them all day.
I know, and it's just like it was in space.
It is.
The same dust, same space dust. You guys didn't really touch it.
No, whenever that was one of the definite ground rules. Whenever you touched the vehicle, you had gloves on of some kind because the oils in your hand could stain the tile. And by the way, there's 25,000 tile on each orbiter, and each one of them has a unique number and a unique drawing because they are all different.
Wow. And when people come out here, they might think, oh gosh, it's dirty. That's space dust. And over here, these are actually burn marks. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely, because you get up in space and you know, the thrusters up here are firing, and they're hot jets. You're exposed to the sun. You know, in a 90-minute 20-minute orbit. For 45 minutes, you're exposed to the sun. It's very, very hot. When you're up in space, the sun side of your hand is going to get to 250 degrees. The back side of your hand is going to get to minus 150 degrees.
Wow, it's amazing stuff. John, we could sit here and talk to you all day. Appreciate you giving us the Cliffs Notes version of this amazing piece of machinery.
Y'all have fun. Enjoy this.
All right, thank you so much.
It's there for
Appreciate it.
everybody.